For 30 years, the Roswell incident remained a dark secret. Civilians and military maintained an uneasy silence. The story didn't see the light of day until 1978, when Jesse Marcel, the 509's intelligence officer, went public with an appearance on television.
I was amazed as to what I saw. The amount of debris that was scattered over such an area. It took me a while to realize that there's something strange about it. But the more I saw the fragments, the more I realized that it wasn't anything that I was acquainted with. I proved by trying to burn it, it wouldn't burn. I tried to break it, it would not break. If it was something of ours, I'm sure there would be no reason to keep it under cover that long.
In 1947, General Ramey's chief of staff was Colonel Thomas DuBose. Shortly before he died, he was interviewed on home video. As a retired brigadier general, he is the highest-ranking officer to comment on the Roswell incident.
It was a cover story. The balloon part of it is the story that's to be given to the press, and that is it, and anything else, forget it. And McMullen, if you ever knew him, if you told him that he wanted to run something, he goddamn sure ran it. He knew every facet of the operation. He's a busybody. He wanted to know what the hell was going on, who was pissing on the sidewalk, and all that sort of business.
General McMullen, deputy head of Strategic Air Command at the Pentagon, was in charge of the entire operation, according to General DuBose.
McMullen told me, you are not to discuss this, and this is a point of which this is more than top secret, as he said. It's beyond that. It's within my priority as deputy to George Kenney, and he in turn responsible to the president. This is the highest priority you can exist, and you will say nothing, and that's the end of it. And Jesus, that's in the commander-in-chief, and you forgot about it.
What could the Air Force have been hiding for the last 40 years? One man who may hold the key to the mystery is Frank Kaufman. Kaufman claims that in 1947, he was a master sergeant in personnel at Roswell Army Airfield. But what was not known at the time, he said, is that he was also a covert member of a highly secret counterintelligence unit, codenamed the Nine. Tonight, Kaufman reveals for the first time what he claims is the true story of the Roswell incident.
I was assigned to Roswell in 1942. My duties at that time was somewhat classified. The events that led up to the 1947 incident is rather peculiar because there is a lot of erratic movement on the radar screen, and this called our attention that maybe we better monitor those screens. They sent some of us to Alamogordo, the White Sands, to view the blips on the screens. The blips were just dancing from one end of the screen to the other, and then all of a sudden there was kind of a flash, and it just disappeared. Well, that indicated that possibly maybe a plane or a missile or something just went down.
Kaufman says he and his team immediately drove east from Alamogordo back to Roswell, then towards a location about 35 miles south of the Foster Ranch.
And now this was late at night. We started to clip some of the wire fence and drove into the area. The terrain was very rough at the time. There was no roads leading into it. We saw this glow of light, just this kind of a halo of a light, just kind of beaming out. We got to, I guess, maybe 200 yards, maybe 300 yards from where it was. And we learned right then and there it wasn't a plane, it wasn't a missile, it was kind of a strange-looking craft that was embedded in the arroyo, see. The size of the craft, I would say possibly maybe around 20, 25 feet in length, and it was open and kind of halfway, and one body was thrown up against the wall of the arroyo. The other one was half in and half out of the craft. And when we got in close, we noticed that there were probably 3 others inside the craft. Then we radioed in back to the base to have a truck, a flatbed, and a crane and everything else just come out to the site, and we prepared everything to clear everything off.
Frank Kaufman provided us with what he claims is a copy of his official report on the Roswell incident, a top-secret document containing observations and sketches of what he saw at the time.
We saw panels of controls. We couldn't make them out. They were writings. We didn't know what it. We couldn't decipher it or anything of that nature. And the underbelly of the craft had a series of cells, quartz type cells, sort of glass-looking cells, Arctic in shape.
This is the actual site where Kaufman says he saw the strange craft for the first time. This is an artist's impression of the aliens, based on Kaufman's own descriptions.
We noticed one thing, that deterioration was beginning to set in on one of the bodies of the hands. We noticed the hands, the skin trying to shrivel up, and that's the reason why we put them in the bags real in a hurry and got them out to the base hospital.
Out of This World will continue on TLC.